Hello. Today, I want to share something I've learned recently about empathy. Something that's not a good thing to say when you're trying to be empathetic. Something that I myself tend to say quite often. Something that I'm sure many others do as well. For context, something unfortunate happened to someone close to me recently. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but it came as a big shock, and it was a huge violation of privacy. It was a lot for them to take in and deal with. And in trying to be empathetic and reassuring, I said the not so good thing. I said, at least. As in, well, at least this other thing didn't happen too, which would have been even worse. And up until that point, I thought this was a helpful thing to say in situations like this. I'm pointing out something good when all we've done so far is talk about the bad. I'm looking on the bright side of a dark situation. Even though things didn't go well, they could have gone worse. But they didn't. So isn't that worth pointing out? Apparently not. My sister, who works in mental health community services and is very knowledgeable about empathy-related matters, was there as well. And she let me know that you should never say the phrase "at least" when you're trying to be empathetic. What? Why not? I'll send you a Brené Brown video, she said. Dr. Brené Brown. When it comes to matters of human nature, she is one of the best. And if she is recommending to not say "at least" when trying to be empathetic, that is a recommendation that I'm probably gonna follow. So she sent me the video. It's an excerpt from one of her talks, and it's about the difference between empathy and sympathy. It's less than 3 minutes and is extremely insightful. If you are interested in watching it too, it's here. But I'll also link it in the description. In that video, Dr. Brown says, quote, "Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with 'at least.'" Apparently, this is a very common thing for people to say, because they're trying to find the silver lining in a situation. And as I was watching this, I realized I do this too. I do this a lot. I often try to find a silver lining and look at the negative situation with a positive lens. Well, at least this didn't happen. Or I might not specifically say "at least," but I might say it in a different way. Like, hey, it could have been worse. Or, I mean, at least you still have this. People say these things because they're trying to make things better after a difficult conversation. They're trying to make the other person feel better. But using the phrase "at least" doesn't really do a good job of that. It's like providing a logical solution to an emotional problem. It can come across as insensitive. It's not really what they need to hear in that moment. And when I think about having done this in the past, I was trying to be empathetic. I wasn't trying to be insensitive. And in this particular case, I'm close enough to the person and the situation to the point where I am personally affected as well. Even though it didn't happen to me, I'm still affected by it too. So I didn't feel like I was all that far away. And when I was trying to be empathetic and said, "at least this other thing didn't happen too," I did genuinely feel like things could have been much worse. And I was glad that they didn't go down that way. But I think the key thing here is that while I was close enough to the situation to still feel and be personally affected, the event did not happen to me directly. I learned about it afterward and did not have to experience or shoulder the full weight of it. So even though I was affected by it, it wasn't to the same degree. And while me saying "at least this other thing didn't happen too" made me feel better, it probably did not do the same for them, as they were still dealing with the emotional burden of what had happened. And the more I think about it, the more this makes sense. If I'm emotional and upset about something negative that has just happened to me, and someone says, "well, at least this other thing didn't happen too," I probably think, okay, yeah, you're right. But that doesn't make me feel better about what happened in the first place. And the fact that you're saying this to me tells me that you don't fully understand how I'm feeling. And both of these things are not really making me feel better. So what does make things better? In the video, Dr. Brown says, the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection. So instead of saying "at least," it's better to say nothing, or even say "I don't know what to say," and just be there with them. This is something I'm going to work on, and I hope you'll consider this as well, especially if you find yourself in a situation that calls on you to be empathetic. When you're not the one going through the tough situation, it's easy to find the silver linings and point them out, but it's really not the best thing to do or say, especially if you want to be truly empathetic. Don't give a logical solution to their emotional problem, especially if the wound is still fresh. Save the "at least" statements for later, or let the person get there on their own. Anyway, that's it for today. If you found this insightful, your thumbs up is appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos on personal development and self-improvement. And let me know in the comments if you've been on either side of an "at least." Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.